Hi, and welcome back to Circles Theory. This is the channel where I am developing my theoretical work on how societies develop. Throughout the week, I'm exploring various subjects. On Mondays, which is today, I am exploring literature and stories. I am working right now on a series with The Witcher. As I've been moving through these books, I have been fascinated by how amazingly developed they are and the intricate ideas on which they expand. Today, I want to talk about The Bounds of Reason, which is the first story in the book, The Sword of Destiny. That is the second book in the series. Spoilers are ahead for those who haven't read it, and I will do a very brief synopsis. Basically, and if you saw the Netflix series, this is in there. The Witcher starts his story by fighting a monster in a town that doesn't seem to appreciate him. He finds himself connecting with a man named Three Jackdaws. They start drinking and discussing the concept of a monster, and they ultimately go on a quest together in search of a dragon that has been haunting a nearby town. They find that the area has shut off. We meet our favorite bard, and together they embark with Yennefer and a loose-knit crew of dwarves and different hunters on their quest. Throughout that, we have continued discussions about the concept of a monster itself, which is a returning theme, I think, in this series, which interestingly seems more written like a play than a book. It is about dialogue, concepts, and different ideas. And we constantly see this parallel between the Witcher Geralt and the monsters he fights as he tries to understand them as the one who spends the most time with them. He has a personal code which does not allow him to kill dragons. So he continues with the group mostly because of his love with Yennefer. Ultimately, they find their way up there. The dragon has been acting differently because of an egg is dying, and we find out that Three Jackdaws himself is the golden dragon, a rare concept. Yet, till this point, he has been followed by a few Amazonian-type women who find him and refer to him as the most beautiful, a concept that confuses Geralt until he finally admits at the very end that he truly is the most beautiful. And herein we find our theme in The Bound of Reason, which is that because something is seen as a monster doesn't necessarily mean it is. And because something has a mutation or is different does not mean it is necessarily bad or monstrous. We see these parallels drawn over and over again as we try to cope with the idea that what we see as different and what to destroy and fight isn't necessarily in itself bad. And we find that the people that are going to kill it don't necessarily have honorable motives. Even those who seem to confuse us. Rather, most of them are out for gold and glory, name and title, and we find that most of the monster hunters are themselves more monstrous than the dragon they went to kill. The dragon never actually harmed anyone, an important point. Rather, it went around and ate some sheep. Though I suppose an argument can be made it hurt the finances of the farmer. Rather, it was just trying to have enough fuel to be able to enter motherhood. But instead, we find monster hunters that are willing to kill a sentient being, a rare one of the last of its kind, purely so they can fill their mug with beer. But there is a more complicated issue, and that there isn't really another line of work for them. Regardless, we see others who are out to fight a dragon purely so they can bed a princess they don't care about, so that they can bear a child, secure an alliance, and they can ultimately kill the princess. And so we're left with a question. Who is the monster? Which is recurrently coming up as I read The Witcher. Is it the dragon or the dragon hunter? We see this in an interesting character in the wizard who shows up and accompanies them, a wizard who is convinced that all of the monsters are just acting of natural habit and tries to understand them. He is constantly ignored and treated like a freak. But he seems resolute in what he believes. He does not have any wavering throughout it. He is a strong, consistent character, which I find important and interesting. Someone who consistently works as a backdrop for understanding what it means. Someone that forcibly acts as reason. But we find that, of course, reason is bound. It's bound by a multitude of forces. It's bound by greed, lust, power. Even Geralt himself ultimately comes to perhaps he may fight and kill the dragon, if that means that he may be able to take the hand of the elusive Yennefer of which he loves. So, Stay tuned. I will continue to talk about The Witcher as I read through it. Next week will be the next short story in that series, a fascinating tale called A Shard of Ice, in which monsters are learning to live with humans, and we start to understand that next leap. Now that we've realized that they themselves aren't all necessarily bad, what does it mean for them to live with us? This video series will continue to go through The Witcher, but the channel itself is pumping out new videos Monday through Friday, so please stick around, subscribe, comment, like, share, anything. I just want to have a discussion because these things fascinate me and are helping me write my book, which I discuss every Friday. So if you are interested in any of The Witcher or any of these ideas, philosophy, or existentialism, please stick around, or you just enjoy the ride. I appreciate the watch, and I will catch you all tomorrow.